this is optibotimus coming in with another video review. And I do have to apologize if you keep hearing vibrating because my friends keep messaging me and they won't leave me alone. And as you can see, my friend Ali thinks that he's going to be famous. Well, Ali, you're famous now. So there you go. But today we're going to be taking a look at the new TFC Uranos AV88 Harrier 2, which is basically their not slingshot figure from the Transformers aerial bots. Now, he kind of looks like he's all jacked up in there, like his head's all derpy. That piece is like flopping around in there, so I don't know what the deal is with all that. But everybody keeps asking me when I'm going to do the next Uranos figure, because this technically is the 4th release. As you can see, I have Blackbird, although it's not really a black bird, but I'm waiting to review this for them to actually release their Wings of Uranos upgrade set, which vastly improves the look of a lot of these figures, specifically when you have them in combined mode. So the review for him will come at the very end of all of these. But as you can see, very nice packaging. Harrier here, he's a little weird. His face, all of these faces really aren't all that accurate to the cartoon look. But one thing I really do actually kind of like is you can see that he's got like this war paint almost underneath his eyes, like somebody who's about to go into battle would have, and Slingshot would definitely have something like that. Come around here to the side, you got a nice image of the artwork for Harrier himself. Come around to the other side, you got like some blueprints. Come around here to the back, you got his robot mode, obviously his aircraft form, and now we have Uranos' second arm. So the only thing that we're really missing is the leg to make Uranos stand. So it's kind of annoying, I guess, but keeps you coming back for more. So that's about it for the packaging. I love the way that the art on here looks, and of course you got the neon image here in the background, which is a little bit harder to see. But that's about it for the packaging. So without further ado, let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Harrier opened up and out of its packaging. And earlier I actually misspoke. I called it the AV88 Harrier 2. And actually, it's the AV8B Harrier 2, but it looked like 88 on the packaging. But here you have it in his jet mode, obviously, and it's a really nice vertical takeoff sort of jet. That's one really cool thing about this jet. I always really kind of thought these were very nice looking. Now, I don't know a lot about planes, but this was always one that I enjoyed watching. It's used on a lot of instances where it needs to vertically take off like so, or if it's got a shorter runway where it can taxi out and then as it's going, lift up in a quick and very short amount of time, like if it's a short runway or something. So really very cool looking jet. I do absolutely love the way this looks. Now, one thing that I don't get is you got the AFI 304, you got that on both sides, and then the S5 HOT. I don't get why those would be different. I would imagine that they would be the same on the, or if it was printed on the jet, so that's kind of strange. But you got the underbelly, you got the wings, or I'm sorry, the wheels that are mounted on the bottom part of the wing, which is a nice accurate touch to how the actual Harrier looks. You got the bent wings, which again is a very typical look for the Harrier. Really very nice. It does have an opening cockpit, but you have to really pull on it, and you got a little seat inside there, so I do dig that. The missiles here are detachable. Pull that off and you got that right there. And it's weird because the hole underneath here, as you can see, is a rounded hole, whereas that's a rectangular peg, so that's kind of strange. I don't quite get why they did that, but putting that right back underneath there, you got the obviously very white jet here, which I'm sure is probably very hard for a lot of people to see. He does come with extra landing gear here, so you can roll these up just like so, and you can have those other landing gear down here. Now, on an actual Harrier jet, these would be down, and there would be another support group of wheels here in the middle that would help stabilize it, basically. So I don't know if that's what that's kind of in reference to. Realistically, when this thing is taxiing around, it's using these bits for their landing gear. So really very cool looking. I dig it. It's a very nice looking jet. I do have one minor problem on mine, and that you can kind of see right there, zooming in so that you can actually see it a little bit better. This bit right here is bent, and you can see that it's got a stress mark on there. So that's something that actually kind of bugs me. It's a problem with the QC, I would imagine, because I know I didn't do that, but whatever. It's not too terribly bad, I guess, but it does kind of stick out because it's a black nose nose cone and a little grayish white bit hanging out there. But in general, it's a fairly nice looking representation of a Harrier jet, and Slingshot, I think, would be fairly proud of this, as that's really what he was. So very cool. Now, to transform him, first we're going to remove these missiles, just getting them off of the underside, and you can tuck these up just like that. Tuck that up underneath the front section of the plane. Come around here, you want to loosen this bit up. You just pull this up like so. Do that on that side as well. Now you can remove these if you want to. They just peg in there. So that's what you would want to do to transform them. You're free to do that, but you don't need to do it. Then just take this, you just angle this up, pull this all the way up like so. We're gonna take these legs, here, get this whole section up there. Well, wiggle that. Oh, I'm sorry. Before you start pulling things and potentially breaking them, unhook this section here on the side. I'm sorry, guys. Then you can rotate that down and out like so. Do that on this side as well. Then you can extend these legs. Now I'm gonna tuck these landing gear up. This pegs in really stiff. Give it a nice pull and then make sure it's all the way extended. Then you can take this section here, angle this up like that, and then you're gonna bring that down and around like so. Take this section, untab that, just gonna bring that back, keep his head right there. Fold out his little hands. Do that on this side as well. Angle up so you can see a little bit. Stretch these out, fold that down, stretch, fold that down. This is actually supposed to be up here, and then this section should be up as well, but I had him in his combined mode here a little bit ago, so I forgot to actually do that. Put the head down, you can rotate that around, then split these legs. These little wing bits here, you can rotate these however you really want to position them. It's really up to you essentially, but we're gonna get the feet done here first. So rotate that around, do that on this side also. Angle this. Like I said, you can rotate these and position these really however you want, whatever is a nice look for you. Here, get that. Well, you can just pull the whole thing off, whichever works. Bend it like so. I'm just gonna put it like that for right now, just because I guess. And then you bring these two halves together, and then just have these bits like so. Straighten out his legs however you want, and I'm probably gonna fiddle with those legs a little bit because I don't really like how that looks, so we'll fiddle with it a little bit. Straighten out these little feet and straighten out the head, put his little missiles out to the side. But here you have a Harrier in his robot mode. Now, whatever you want to call him, Slingshot or Harrier, this is a pretty nice representation of the character that we knew from Transformers, specifically the aerial bots. Now, I did do a little bit of tweaking here with the wings here. As you can see, you have the little peg right here, and I had that kind of like bent in. Something like this here. I had that, well, I twist them. I had that kind of bent in. You can do it like that if you really want to, or if you really wanted to, you got the little hole and then you got a little peg right there. You can just peg that on there. It really just kind of depends on what you want to do for your own look, I guess. But as I said, I think this is a wonderful representation of the Slingshot character. Now, again, people have complained about the missiles or fuel pods or whatever being used as weapons. It doesn't bug me really all that much. It's at least they're used for something, but I could see where people would complain a little bit about it. Now, he does come with, I don't know if you would call it an extra accessory, but he does come with this extra sprue of little parts that you can use to actually fill in these holes. Now, these ones right here, zoom in so that you can see that the top ones have these lines going through it, and these other ones do not. These line ones are specifically made for this. As you can kind of see that there's little groove sections going across this shoulder bit. So all you do is you just take it off just like so, and then you bring it in here. And actually, I think I put that on the wrong one. And there you go. So as you can see, these are specifically designed for specific shoulders. So make sure you're careful with that and you get that lined up just properly so that you don't accidentally put it in the wrong one. So these go in here just like so. Just give that a nice little push. And once you get them in there, they're pretty much in there for good. So don't expect to take them out. But these ones right here, I haven't figured out where they go yet. They don't go here because, as you can see, these are more oblong shaped and those are rounded. So I'm not 100% sure where those bits go. So I'll just leave him off until I figure it out. In addition to that, he also comes with the other hand for Uranos. But we'll touch on this here in a little bit when we actually get him into his combined mode so that you can see how that looks. But the figure itself, as I said, very nice representation of Slingshot. The face really isn't all that spectacular. Zooming in so that you can see it, it's not overly bad and it's not really coming across all that well, but you can kind of see it. He's got little silver paint bits underneath his eyes. I do dig that. I think that's a nice touch, and it's definitely befitting of Slingshot because he's the kind of guy that would have war paint on him. But the heads just really are a little bit weak on these figures. They don't have the same kind of homage that I was really very much hoping for. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that a third party won't come along and probably give us new heads, but the heads that come with them, I'm really not all that thrilled with. For his articulation, much like all the other figures that TFC Toys gives us, they have a very nice ball joint here. You can see a very good amount of light piping. The shoulders here rotate right up at the joint right there. They also move in and out as part of the transformation, but they also have another joint right down here. So it really depends on what you want to use, but nice range of motion there. I don't particularly like how his upper arms get really thin here. Aesthetically, that's kind of ugly, but it's not overly bad. The bicep swivel right up at the top. You got an elbow joint as well. Nothing at the wrist. It does move in and out just as part of the transformation, I suppose. The waist here does rotate all the way around on a nice ratchet joint. The hips move forward and back. You can hear the ratchet joint in there as well. They move in and out on a much more sturdy ratchet joint. They also rotate here at the upper part of the thigh, bend at one point at the knee, and then down here the ankle is kind of like on a little bit of a ball joint, and you can get some tilt and everything like that. So nice range of motion, much like we expect from the TFC Toys folks, but it's kind of becoming standard now for these figures to have that range of motion and that level of articulation. But it's a nice representation, as I keep saying. I love the back, how it's able to come together and really replicate how the G1 Toys had that, as well as the characters themselves. Really very nice. I do like how the feet actually don't have a thruster that make you kind of tiptoe on them, at least on the front part of the foot. I like a more elongated foot here to get a real good stability on the poses and things like that. So I do enjoy that more than what we got previously, specifically with Eagle. So really very nice. Now for his limb mode, there's a couple different things that you can do. Number one, you can have it be fully extended here at the legs, giving him a much longer arm, and it also gives more clearance to these panels that are on the side. Now for me, I like actually keeping it more compressed in with these panels off, because if you take these panels, like I said, get this to slide in, this is a bit of a pain. When you get it compressed in where it's a little bit more, that's got to go a little bit more like that. These panels here on the side really get in the way of things. So just to keep the look of it clean, come on, it's harder to do. I'm going to take these panels off, just like so, and leave it like this. I mean, it's a little bit more less bulky, and actually I'm gonna keep those extended just a little bit more. But yeah, that's about right. That's really how I like it. And here you see the comparison with the other arm that he would have. Now, people were talking about whether or not this arm is bigger than, say, Hercules. Well, this is the arm for Hercules, and when you do it this way, you're roughly having the exact same length of the arm. Additionally, people were saying that the fingers or the hand looked too big, and for all intents and purposes, they are the exact same length as well. I mean, actually, no, yeah, they're the exact same length. So, I mean, the fingers really aren't any longer, and actually, there's a lot of similarities between these fingers. So that's one thing that is a dead giveaway for TFC stuff. It really kind of looks the same across all their figures. But as I mentioned in my review of Eagle and videos before, I'm not going to show actually how to get to this. It's actually fairly easy to do. But when I do the full review of Uranos, I'll show all these figures and how to transform them into their various limb modes, just so I can save something for that actual review. But there you see his arm. All said and done, TFC Toys really does a nice job of constantly improving their previous work. With each subsequent release, the figures just feel better and better, and this figure is no exception to that. This guy feels real good and has a very top-notch quality to him. Plastic feels durable, nothing really feels like it's gonna break. I like the guy. Now, one thing that I neglected to show you is that these do fold down, and he's got little booby missiles or whatever. So there's that. But now to transform him back, you're gonna wanna rotate his head around like so. Take this section here, detach this, angle this up, and bring that over, tucking his head in. Then you can bring these up along the sides, take these hands, tuck them down, and then fold these bits all the way out just like so. Do that on this side as well. Bring it all the way down. You do want to make sure that you get it completely level across the plane here so that it actually fits in perfectly when you're doing it. Just get this lifted up and out of the way. These bits right here, you can detach these. It makes things a little bit easier when you're transforming them. Go ahead and rotate these feet around. Just push them up along the side. Bring them together here. This part actually can be a little bit of a pain in the butt because it's very stiff and you're gonna wanna push fairly hard, but you don't wanna get your fingers in there too close because it can hurt your fingers and pinch you. So bring this down, tuck that right there, bring this all the way out, bring this down, and then bring that in there. Now you do have to kind of stretch this, it feels, there you go, and get that flopped over. Then bring these shoulder bits down. You can see the little round peg section that peg into the inside of the hole here. So just get that positioned right, get that angle down, there we go. Lock that in like so. Do that on this side as well. And you have a missile, the flying missile thing. And then all you have to do is take these, come around here, peg this all the way in, and then fold this down to lock that into place. Give that a nice little push. Do that on this side as well. Straighten that out. Get that wing straightened out. Peg that in here. Transformation, I mean, is really very simple. That's one thing that I do like over the Hercules figures. The transformations, and then just push that all the way down, is a much easier fluid kind of transformation. Once you transform one of these guys, you pretty much know what you're doing with the rest. And then just angle this around, bring this down and around, angle that, then bring these missiles up. So yeah, like I said, the transformation being a simpler form of a transformation is very nice, and you get a pretty good sized figure, but with a simpler transformation, which I do actually enjoy. So once you get those positioned and angled just right, here you have Harrier back in his jet mode. As I said, with each subsequent release, TFC Toys really does seem to improve over their previous figures. And Harrier fits that bill nicely. I don't remember which figure it was, but the very first one that was released kind of made me worried. It felt like they were taking a step back in terms of the quality. But after that first figure came out, we got Eagle, and now we have Harrier, and even Blackbird, which I played around with a little bit. The plastic and the quality just in general feels much better. Now, Slingshot was probably always one of my favorite characters in terms of the aerial bots, so I'm going to be a little bit more, I guess, have favoritism. And actually, you know what I just discovered? On the top here, these little bits, these little screws, that's where these little things go. So let's put those in there. So make sure I get those in the right spot, mind you. But like I said, the overall enjoyment factor of this really comes from the fact that I really do like the character. Is that in the right spot? I'm probably going to screw it up, so I'll just do it later on. And Uranos just in general is coming together fairly nicely. Now, it will look better towards the end when we get the wings of Uranos set, which will give some weapons and a much better chest piece to Uranos himself, but we'll cover that here in a little bit. Besides that, this guy I absolutely recommend. The jet mode looks fantastic. I love this kind of jet. It's always been one of my favorites to watch at like air shows and things of that nature. As I mentioned, the transformation is fairly simple and utilizes a lot of the same mechanics that other releases have already used. So it's a familiar transformation, but it's satisfactory nonetheless. You get a completely different jet mode, and the robot modes look really good. My only complaint really in the robot mode would be his arms are a little bit thin up near his shoulders. But really a very fun toy here. I absolutely love this guy and highly recommend picking him up. So if you are interested in getting this guy, go ahead and click on the link down in the video description. You go to Big Bad Toy Store where you can pick this guy up today and add him to your collection. But beyond that, that's about it, guys. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Keep in touch with me. Find out recent purchases as well as all upcoming video reviews all at facebook.com/teambotimus and follow me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.